All right. Good day, whether it's evening, morning, or afternoon. Uh, this is going to be the first video in your series of lessons for this Java course. First things first, we're going to install the program we're going to use to compile and run Java programs that you create and that we review. And it's called IntelliJ IDEA, right? So IntelliJ Integrated Development Environment Application. All right, so let's go ahead and open up our browser. And I'm using Chrome, but it's pretty much it'll be the same for any browser. You go to JetBrains.com. Those are the individuals that do that developed this in particular IDE or Integrated Development Environment. Let's just go to that main website real quick, and they make a handful of different compilers and other developer applications, but I particularly enjoy using JetBrains. JetBrains, they're a great team, but we're going to use IntelliJ. So um, here are some of the applications they use. So they create stuff PyCharm for Python programming, stuff for PHP, Ruby, but we're going to focus on IntelliJ. So let's go ahead and download IntelliJ. So now we want the community version. You don't need the unlimited deluxe version. That's more for harder core developers. I would imagine most people taking this course are either just starting out or do not need all the applications um, or tools afforded to you by and buying a subscription to IntelliJ. Either way, the community version works well enough. Here, you'll just click it. Definitely insert your email if you want more updates from the JetBrains folks, but definitely not required. So just going to sit here and wait for it to download, and we'll go ahead and run the executable file. And here it's asking me whether I want to actually run it. Yes, I do. And yes, this is safe. So we'll go ahead and click next. We'll set up a space in our program files folder for IntelliJ, and then the IntelliJ to reside. So a couple of different things we want to make sure we check. We want to make sure all Java programs that we install are will automatically go to IntelliJ. Unless you have a different compiler, you don't have to check that. And I do want a 32-bit launcher on my desktop, basically, sort of like this PyCharm launcher right here. But not necessarily required, but it's definitely easy. It makes it easier for you to find it. So those are pretty much the only two things that I recommend that you uh, you you check on this setup screen here. But you can go right here, install with JetBrains, and here it's going to, as you see, plop down a 32-bit launcher window. I'm just going to wait for this. Wait for this to install. So that took quite a lot of time, so I fast forwarded through the installation process, and we get to the completion screen. Super simple, very easy. And we're going to click run and run IntelliJ IDEA Community Edition. When I click finish, and let's see here. Wants me to configure either configure or installation folder. or do not import settings. Don't really have any settings to import at this point, so this is fine. And each time you open up IntelliJ, unless you tell it otherwise, it will give you little tips and tricks to use IntelliJ. In this particular instance, it's asking me whether I want to have a light setting or darkula, which is the sort of nighttime mode or dark mode. I prefer the dark mode or darkula mode because it's easier for me to look at it for hours on end. So I'm going to go ahead and skip the rest of the default settings because the rest of them really aren't that important. But you can definitely click through them and look at them. Let me take that back. They're important, but they're not important for what we're going to do in this class. It's a little bit more advanced. So, all right. So now we want to create a new project, and we're going to go ahead and definitely load SDK, and we're going to go ahead and download SDK. I'm going to download it. And here we go. We'll talk about Groovy and Coltan later in the course. We want to create a project from template. We use the command line, and that simply means we're going to use classes using the main method. We'll talk about what that means also in Module 2. Here, we'll go ahead and name the project. Each project has a project folder where you can drop different files into and out of so that the program can manipulate it within the project space. Right now, we'll just call this profrab. And here, the base package, we'll talk about what that means in a little bit, but it always is com dot whatever you want to call the base package. Here, I'll just name it again, profrab. And click finish. And here you can see it's, again, here are the tips that pop up like I was telling you about. But here you can see profrab is the package. And in this, you'll see your project space. And here is, here's where your project resides. And also, here are your SDK libraries. And we'll go over in the next video about what all of this means. What is a main function? What is a string args? We'll talk about that in the next video. Either way, it's good having you, and I hope to this upcoming semester is as informative for you as it will be for me.